With the first pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, who was absolutely flustered.
Things happen for a reason. I'm excited to be out here. Everything's been great. It's in the rearview mirror at this point.
Stafford is a substantial upgrade over Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, from the opening play, was on it to get to this point, to build him back up, has paid one of the great dividends in Detroit history.
The Detroit Lions were within an earshot of advancing to the Super Bowl this past season. For the entirety of this century, the Lions have been more or less a laughingstock franchise.
He didn't even know he was out of bounds.
Things have turned around since Dan Campbell and Jared Goff took the reins. The Lions look to be on the verge of something incredible. And as a result, Goff and the Lions have agreed on a 4-year, $212 million extension. The question that we have today is if it's actually deserved. And how exactly did we get to this point? For the majority of his career, it was considered that Goff was kind of a bust in the NFL. Alright, I take that back. I don't think Jared Goff was necessarily a bust. I just wouldn't say he lived up to the hype. But I feel like for his time with the Rams, I think bust is just too harsh of a word. He certainly didn't live up to the #1 overall pick hype, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, he made it to a Super Bowl with the Rams, but he wasn't really the focal point of that offense. And when he was traded to Detroit, no one thought anything of it. It was going to be more of a stopgap play for the bigger picture. To understand if this was deserved, let's go back to the beginning. We need to go all the way back to 2016. The Rams, who had just moved to LA, needed to make a big splash. Despite going 7-9 the previous year, the Jeff Fisher special, they would make a trade with the Titans to acquire the #1 overall pick. And after much back and forth, it was Jared who ended up being chosen. During his time with the Rams, Goff had played well, albeit it always felt like there was room for improvement. When the Rams finally had enough of the definition of mediocrity as their head coach, LA turned to a young up-and-comer named Sean McVay in 2017. Goff would proceed to have the best year of his career in 2018, guiding the Rams to a Super Bowl where the Rams would go on to pile up a total of 3 points. The next 2 years, Goff couldn't reach the ceiling that he created in 2018. McVay and the Rams felt like they had reached their limit with Goff as far as where he could take them, so he would end up being traded to Detroit for Matthew Stafford. In his first year, his record would go on to be 3-10-1 for the Lions, the Detroit Lions special at that point. I know that was more about the team versus how Goff actually played, because Goff actually played pretty alright, all things considered. Dan Campbell, who was the Lions head coach when the Lions traded for Goff, saw enough in him to say that he wanted him as their starting quarterback.
There's 3 things that I think about with Jared Goff. He's tough, he's durable, and most importantly, he's a winner.
Dan's faith in Goff proved correct, as the former #1 overall pick would go on to have a career resurgence, throwing for 59 touchdowns to 19 interceptions over the next 2 years, becoming a Pro Bowler in 2022. Not only that, during this past season, Goff would be a big reason why Detroit would make the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1992. 32 years ago, my friends. Goff would have a near flawless game to guide the Lions past a returning Stafford and the Rams in what I'm sure was a big weight off of his shoulder to defeat the guy your former team traded for. The next 2 games weren't masterclasses by any means, but he didn't create any bad decisions to put the ball in harm's way, having 0 interceptions during the entire playoff run. After getting past the Bucs in the divisional, their journey would come to an end at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers, a team that many would say had the best roster in the NFL. Detroit put up a fight, though, to say the least, getting off to a hot start, scoring the first 2 touchdowns, putting on a clinic in the first half. It became 24-7 by halftime. Midway through the third quarter, according to ESPN.com, the Lions had a 91% chance to win it and advance to the Super Bowl for the first time in their long franchise. However, the 49ers would rally and would have an even bigger second half, ultimately putting up 27 unanswered points. The Lions would fall 34-31. a gut-wrenching loss for a team that had been a laughingstock for this entire century thus far. But therein lies the question. Because Detroit is finally starting to compete, did they overpay for Jared Goff? For his entire run with the Rams, Goff was never really given credit for their success. He was never seen as the guy who could elevate a team, but rather the guy who wouldn't screw it up as long as you had the right pieces around him. The Lions have been trying to get out of the mud for a very long time, and they finally have pieced together something special. So it would make sense why you would want to hang on to a guy that has given you relevance for the first time in what is honestly like since Barry Sanders, really. And to be completely clear with you guys, I don't believe that this is the same Jared Goff that we saw with the Rams. This Jared Goff was genuinely elite for large stretches at a time. When he's playing at his very best, he is a top 10 quarterback, and even top 3 in the NFC. I think the problem was that we hadn't seen this version of him, and it's hard to believe in someone who, for all intents and purposes, was written off in 2021. Goff's contract seems to be a big deal because it's the second largest in the NFL, and he's not even a top 5 quarterback.
Well, that's debatable.
Do you remember the uproar there was when Kirk Cousins got his deal with the Vikings? I believe something similar could be happening here. He won't be in that position for very long, as guys will continue to get paid more and more as the years go on. The current Jared Goff is headed in the right direction, and the contract reflects that. If he can make another leap this year, I believe he is worth the contract that he was given. After all, Goff is only 29 years old. On a side note, did anyone else think that Jared Goff was a little older than 29? I don't know why I was thinking he was like 33 or something. Detroit is on the cusp of making a Super Bowl run, and if just a few things go right and Goff can elevate even higher, we may even see Detroit hold the Lombardi Trophy in the near future. If and whenever that happens, I can humbly say that the trade in 2021 was won by the Detroit Lions. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to give you guys a huge thank you and a quick shout out to you guys. The success on this channel has been great for me, and it's really helped me want to create more content for you guys out there. If you guys could do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. This one was a little bit shorter, as you know, this was kind of more breaking news. As of me recording, Jared Goff had just signed that contract, and I wanted to get my opinion out there because, you know, who doesn't want to hear the opinion of a Bengals fan about something with the Lions?
Not me.
Nonetheless, all jokes aside, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you guys could like and subscribe, it would go a long way for this. Until next time, y'all, shaboy! At the end of the day, they were only a few plays away from really opening up the can of whoop ass on the 49ers. Okay, I'm not gonna use that.